Pretty dark episode this week with Hunter x Hunter. I feel like we're going back slowly but surely into those dark areas like we had in Chimera Ant and in York New, where we're getting to discover a little bit more about this sibling of Killua, which is called Aluka. Now, at the beginning of this episode, more politics, and I kind of screwed up on my last week where I said, oh, one person needs to be 95. No, just it needs to be a 95% turnout with all the hunters in the association. And it's interesting that he said that this was like a simple task, you know, a D rank, y'all can do this easily. Meanwhile, they're like struggling, doing it over and over and over. So, I don't know if Netero was trolling or he wanted to say, this is easy, you know, trying to give them a little bit of an encouragement or a challenge. And this Pariston guy, you could definitely see that there's something up with him. He's not clearly, you know, a good guy. He has this weird little smile to him, and he reminds me a lot of Hannibal Lecter from the series Hannibal. I know people say, well, why do you think that? Well, he has the suit, he has the smile, he has the grin, and he just kind of looks a little bit off, so to speak. Not that he eats people or anything of that nature, but he just kind of has this weird, strange vibe to him. Very classy, but a little bit of a grin too far, so to speak. And it really makes you question why the hell would Netero choose somebody like that. And this episode is basically saying that he was kind of like the complete opposite of Netero. And I don't know if Netero did that to balance things out. But at the end of the day, I do trust Netero's judgment. And I don't think that he made a mistake. I think he knew exactly who this guy was, and that's why he appointed him as vice chairman, because I just don't see Netero making that huge of a mistake to appoint somebody that is going to be like, you know, totally evil. Then again, you know, he was only human, so you never know, but it just seems like, could Netero really fuck up like that to choose, like, the ultimate scumbag? And for the most part, at the beginning of this episode, it was kind of a little sluggish or whatever, but once we get to the part where Killua arrived home, that's where shit really takes off, and it just really goes into a dark territory when we learn that this extra brother pretty much can grant wishes, but it's a very dark thing. If he grants 3 in a row, then the cost is what is going to be ridiculous. And I was like, this felt almost like a little mini horror film. It's like every now and then Togashi has like these inner demons that he likes to let out, and Aluka is definitely one of them, because when that face comes on, you know, the black eyes and the mouth, and it's just like, oh my fucking god, what is with that person? Although I do feel slightly bad because Silva and the rest of the family seemingly don't see it as like even a human, don't even see it as family or anything, which makes me wonder, I guess because of the wish factor, that's why they keep it. But other than that, it's like, it feels so cruel to keep this little boy, which it's a little boy from my understanding, it's a little boy, but some people refer to this little boy as a she, like Killua refers to him as a she, but that's ultimately a boy, by the way. But it just feels like wrong, like they don't treat him like the same, and they kind of like have him away from everybody. I understand, at the end of the day, it's a dangerous motherfucker. I mean, the shit that he was doing in this episode, having, hey, can I have your brain? Can I have your spleen? Can I have your spine? I was like, that's too much, bro. That's too fucking much. We could definitely see where Killua's going with this. He's going to probably try to get that wish in order to help Gon out, because at this point, you need a miracle such as that in order to heal Gon. Now, I'm sure some people are going to call this a big ass pull, like, oh, it's wishes or whatever, but at the end of the day, first of all, the cost is ridiculous, and also, I believe it's been confirmed from the very beginning that there was all these brothers of the Zodiac, so who knows how long Togashi had this shit set up and planned out that he was going to have this particular brother for this particular thing, like, you know, these wishes and whatever. But definitely a very strong power if in the wrong hands, because just imagine, like, the Chimera Ant King had that shit, you know, had Aluka as one of his pawns, and he could do whatever, or Crollo, or just the troop in general. They could have done some really fucked up shit. So that kind of shows as well that the Zoldocks can't be that bad if they haven't done anything ridiculously bad to the world, having this power in their possession. Poor Butlers, by the way, having to deal with that shit, like, god damn. I mean, even Illumi, when he was a little bit younger, he was still fucked up, throwing that butler into the damn waste side. Like, yeah, you're gonna do this real quick. Don't worry, I'll spare you if you survive. And then in the end, we get the reuniting between Killua and his little brother, Aluka. And this episode, for the most part, it just felt really dark. And getting the explanation of Aluka and his powers and what he can do and the wishes and everything is definitely setting up for what Killua ultimately wants him for. But the thing is, the family has this on lockdown, so it's going to be an interesting strategy that Killua's going to have to come up with in order to get things done, to get what he wants. But ultimately, it was a good episode. The beginning of this episode, again, kind of dealing with the politics, and it's like, oh, we need a 95% turnout, but ultimately, it was still an alright episode. I enjoyed it, and I felt that it accomplished as far as progression goes, and as far as setup for this Aluka character to have a major factor and to actually have some worth. And this is what Killua meant, where I'm gonna save my friend. And every time you see the Zoldocks, usually, you know shit is going good. So I'm gonna give this episode 7.5 out of 10. Good episode. Looking forward to seeing next week's. And just like, if they keep up this dark tone, because it felt definitely a little bit more darker even than in the manga this week with all the blood everywhere, and it's like, they're not holding any punches. But let me know what you guys think first of all. How do you feel regarding Aluka's powers? Do you feel that that's some bullshit, like, you know, just this magical power they threw in there? I personally think that it has such a major cost that, yeah, it's a crazy power, but it's such a dangerous power. So it's not like, oh yeah, we have, you know, the Dragon Balls. There's no risk whatsoever. And that's not just like the Dragon Balls or anything, but let's be real here. This is a fucking way more dangerous game than just collecting 7 balls. This right here, you have to be very careful or you can have your fucking life taken from you. Because if you reject that 4th time, you're done. So yeah, this isn't no Dragon Balls, people. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, you can do so as well. That'd be awesome. I'm ForneverWorld. And as always, people, have an awesome day.